In the waning hush of a forgotten hour, time cracked open, not with sound, but silence. Ethera, 17, cloaked in dusk-toned linen, stepped through the veil. Her boots touched no ground, only the shimmer of possibility. She had crossed not a distance, but a chronology, into the first epoch. The air was thick with gravity, older than memory. Her fingers traced glowing glyphs mid-air, relics from languages that predated stars. Ethera said, "I remember, though I've never been here." From behind her, the echo lantern dimmed. It never followed past the threshold. The temporal warden, eyes like crushed opal, appeared beside her. He said, "You've stepped where only myth dared linger." She turned to the horizon where twin suns fractured over endless ruins. "Ah, then I am myth now," she said, "and I will rewrite what was lost." Time, it seemed, bowed to those who walked without anchor. Ethera stood before the archive of undone fates, a spiral structure woven from petrified thought and flowing light. Each strand whispered regrets the universe dared not remember. She hesitated. "Will they know I walked here?" The warden answered, "Only if you leave something worth remembering." The walls shifted to reflect her past, not as it was, but as it could have been. Echoes of her family flickered across the surface. A father's unfinished lullaby, a mother's hand fading before a promise was kept. She reached out, but the memory dissolved. "You can't take them," the warden said. "But you may learn why they mattered." Ethera's face hardened. She stepped forward. The archive uncoiled. It had chosen to reveal. Inside the archive, time flowed sideways. Ethera stepped through corridors where memories hung like paintings. She saw a version of herself, older, wiser, broken, kneeling over a battlefield. Another stood proud in a library that never existed. "All this is me," she whispered. The warden's voice echoed through silence. "Each thread is a choice, lived or not." One memory pulled her closer. Ethera, 13, alone in a hollowed-out temple, singing to herself. She had forgotten that moment, forgotten its warmth. The memory turned and looked at her. "You found me," it said. "Then why do I feel lost?" she whispered. Her fingers touched the memory's hand. They pulsed briefly in sync, then fell away. The archive began to quake. One memory refused containment. Ethera turned and saw a rift. Her future self stood within it. Older, wearied, eyes burned with loss. "Close it," the warden warned. But Ethera stepped closer. The older self spoke. "You think you can change time. You forget what time takes from you." Ethera clenched her fists. "Then I'll lose differently." With that, the rift surged forward. It was not memory, it was prophecy. Ethera raised her hand. Light bent to her will for the first time. The prophecy shattered into beams. She fell back, breathing hard. The archive was silent again, but not unchanged. Outside the archive, night had fallen, or something like it. The sky no longer held stars, only clockwork gears turning slowly in the dark. Ethera stood on the observation terrace, her silhouette framed by a time lens showing all possible Earths. "Do you still wish to continue?" the warden asked. "Even after seeing what may become of you?" She didn't look away, especially after. She pressed her palm to the lens. One world shimmered. Trees blooming from crystal, oceans breathing light. "Then remember," the warden said, "you cannot outrun time, but you can teach it to listen." Ethera turned toward the unknown and took her next step. Ethera descended through the spiral stairwell beneath the archive, where the air thickened and light grew ancient. She entered the vault of chronoglass, a chamber built from shattered timelines. Each shard floated midair, showing fragments of histories that never fully occurred. "What is this place?" she asked. The warden replied, "Where time hides its shame." One shard showed her as a tyrant, another as a savior who failed. Ethera turned away, heart tightening. "These aren't real," she whispered. The warden said, "Yet they left a scar. As she reached for a fragment, it hissed and cracked, releasing a sound like a scream swallowed by time. Her reflection fractured and danced across dozens of surfaces. She asked, "Which of these was mine?" The warden said, "All of them." And none. She clenched her jaw and moved forward. Time's echoes followed. Aethera entered a garden that wasn't there moments before. Trees bloomed with memory flowers, petals pulsing with lives unlived. She approached a blossom showing a young boy reading beside a pond. Beside a pond. Her brother. He never got to grow, she murmured. The warden stood by a rose that dripped light instead of dew. "This is where echoes root," he said. "If you plant memory, it blossoms in pain." Aethera fell to her knees beside a glowing lily. "But I want to remember." The flower trembled. She touched it, and warmth flooded her vision. Birthdays that never happened, a goodbye never spoken. Her tears weren't from sorrow, but from remembering something too kind to be real. "You're not here," she whispered. But the boy in the flowers smiled. "You are." The wind carried her grief gently away. Lightning split the horizon of the memory garden. Aethera turned to see a storm of temporal dust spiraling toward them, the dissonance, a force that devours unstable time. "It found us," the warden said. He raised his hand and summoned a barrier of sound and light. Aethera's vision blurred. Within the storm she saw herself, twice. One fighting, one fleeing. "What do I do?" she cried. The warden shouted, "Anchor yourself, remember who you are." The echoes inside the storm tried to pull her, one whispering, "Power," the other, "Peace." She screamed back, "I'm not your puppet," and drove her hands into the ground. The flowers around her ignited in gold. A blast of clarity ripped outward. The dissonance recoiled, retreating into silence. Her breath came fast, but her eyes were steady now. Storm was not gone, but it feared her. In the aftermath, the warden took Aethera's hand and led her through a breach carved by the dissonance. It was raw, unfinished time, a place between befores and afters. They walked through suspended rain, frozen mid-drop, and clouds that shimmered like thought. "You've passed your first trial," the warden said. Aethera asked, "Was it a test?" "No," he said. "It was a mirror." Time was slower here. Her heartbeat echoed in the stillness. A tree grew backward nearby, shedding leaves that reattached mid-air. She touched one and saw a vision, herself choosing a path that saved many but lost everything personal. Her voice trembled. "Why must choice always wound?" The warden answered, "Because you're real, and time is cruel to the real." She nodded and moved forward. Her feet left ripples with each step. She did not look back. They reached a chamber made entirely of sound. Notes hovered in crystalline form, singing themselves into existence. "The harmonic vault." "This," said the warden, "is where time listens." Aethera stepped carefully. Her breath triggered a symphony of tones, some sharp, others haunting. At the center was a stringed instrument older than matter. She touched it, and a single note played. Around her, pasts bent. A village unburned. A child unlost. "It rewrites?" she asked. "Only briefly," the warden said. "And always at a cost." Aethera struck a second note. A memory returned to her, not hers, but someone else's. She fell to her knees, overwhelmed. "These aren't mine," she whispered. "No," the warden replied, "but they may become." As the final chord faded, silence returned. But it was the silence of choice, not absence. Aethera emerged from the harmonic vault onto a bridge woven from threads of light, suspended over a black void. Beneath her feet, each step triggered visions of forgotten lives, an empress kneeling to beg mercy, a child running through ruins, a soldier whispering goodbye. "These are not mine," Aethera murmured. The warden said, "But they may one day depend on you." As they walked, the bridge trembled. Aethera faltered. "They all need saving," she whispered. But I'm only one. A figure formed in the void, a silhouette of herself, wearing a crown of broken mirrors. Who are you? Ethera asked. The echo replied, I am your consequence. The bridge shuddered. She gritted her teeth, lifted her head, and walked straight through the echo. The bridge held. The warden said nothing, only followed. They arrived at a plaza made of orbiting memory disks, circling like planetary rings. In the center stood a tall gate carved from entropy itself. The gate of undoing. Only those who have seen what should not be may open it, the warden said. Ethera approached. As her hand neared the surface, the gate peeled open a crack, revealing images of her own future. Her death, her betrayal, her glory. She recoiled. It's too much. The warden's voice was solemn. Truth usually is. With trembling resolve, she pressed her palm to the gate. It opened wider, swallowing the surrounding rings. I'm ready, she said. Are you? The gate asked. She closed her eyes and stepped through. The space beyond the gate of undoing was silent, a canvas yet unpainted. No stars. No time. Only breath. Ethera floated, unanchored. Then came voices, whispers from choices never made. A child she never became. A battle never fought. A love never confessed. They formed a circle around her, translucent and pale. Why are you here? They asked in unison. To remember, she replied. To mend. They looked at one another and began to chant. From their song grew the world. A sun ignited. Ethera reached out, and the light responded, forming ground beneath her. With each heartbeat, the void bent toward life. The warden stood beside her again. Even from nothing, he said, something can be born. From the new light emerged a garden, not of flora, but of potential. Every tree shimmered with unborn paths, every stream whispered with unborn choices. Ethera stepped through it with awe, brushing past vines of possibility. The warden said, This is the garden of becoming. Only one seed will grow. Ethera asked, What happens to the others? They wait, he replied, or they vanish. At the center stood a tree with a single glowing fruit. As she reached toward it, the branches shifted to show different scenes. Her life as a healer, as a queen, as a martyr. Her hand hovered. This is not a gift, she whispered. The warden said, No, it's a decision. She plucked the fruit. When Ethera bit into the fruit, time imploded into her chest. She staggered back, vision shattering into thousands of moments. She was born, she died, she ruled, she hid, she loved, she forgot. The echoes collapsed into one point, her heartbeat. Her eyes opened. She was still in the garden, but alone. The warden was gone. The garden began to fade, replaced by stone and silence. She stood in a ruined hall, older than memory. A symbol glowed on her palm, the sigil of convergence. She exhaled slowly. I chose, she whispered. The hall answered with a slow, rising hum. Somewhere far off, a bell rang. Ethera turned toward it. The next phase had begun. The ruined hall stretched endlessly, its walls covered in faded murals depicting civilizations long gone, each marked with Ethera's glowing sigil. As she stepped forward, her feet stirred ash and silence. The bell's toll echoed, growing louder. Ethera paused before a mural showing a burning city. Figures bore her face. I was all of them, she whispered. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in gold, eyes blindfolded. Do you remember me? It asked. Ethera replied, You're my first echo. The figure nodded. I was your first choice left unmade. Its voice trembled. And your first regret. The mural shimmered. The bell rang again, closer now. The echo raised its hand. Will you unmake me? Ethera answered, No, I'll carry you. Ethera followed the bell's call through collapsing archways and winding steps, descending into a chasm pulsing with pale blue light. A pool shimmered at the bottom, the reflecting thread. It rippled without wind, whispering names she didn't know. "Every name you never became," said a voice behind her. She turned. Another echo, this one youthful, vibrant, wearing her childhood face. "I was who you once dreamed to be." Athera knelt beside the pool. "Nay, you were kind," she said. The reflection split, showing Athera as a child building stars from string and breath. "I forgot you," Athera admitted. The child smiled sadly. "But I remembered you." Athera wept. "Can I bring you forward?" "Only if you stop looking back," the child answered. The child vanished, leaving behind a path of light curling up the chasm wall. Athera climbed. Each step triggered a memory she'd buried, a lie she told, a hand she let go, a dream she smothered. The higher she went, the heavier it became. Near the top she collapsed. The light faded. Then came the hands, hosts of the lives she'd touched. They lifted her silently. One voice whispered, "You gave me hope." Another said, "You didn't fail." Athera opened her eyes, tears falling. The path reignited. She rose, steadied, and climbed the last step. At the summit stood a single door carved from mirrored stone, pulsing with her heartbeat. Athera stepped through the mirrored door into a chamber with no walls, just light and rhythm. Time slowed. Voices recited fragments of her past, layered in melody. In the center floated a chronoglyph, a living tattoo of time. It pulsed with her name, flickering with every heartbeat. "This is your anchor," said a voice not hers. It came from the light itself. "Wield it and choose." She reached toward it. The tattoo coiled onto her wrist, wrapping itself in pulse-synchronized motion. Visions exploded outward, timelines fracturing, possibilities blooming. She whispered, "Not all stories end in war." The chamber stilled. The glyph darkened to gold. And then it beat once with her. The light receded. Athera stood once more in the real, on the cliff of the world she left behind. Below, cities flickered with time-born scars. Above, stars realigned into new constellations. She raised her arm. The golden chronoglyph glowed. From her hand unraveled threads, woven from her journey, each a different story remembered. She cast them skyward. The threads wove together, forming a beacon in the heavens. Far away, people looked up. Children pointed. Elders wept. "Who is she?" one asked. A passing seer whispered, "She is the bridge." Athera turned to the wind. "It begins now," she said, stepping forward as the cliff gave way to stars. Athera found herself at the threshold of the fragmented nexus, a realm where timelines collided and clashed like shattered glass. Voices echoed, some pleading, some angry, others silent. Each shard held a story once vibrant, now broken. As she stepped forward, the shards trembled, reacting to her presence. "You carry too much," whispered the warden. "But not enough to bind this place." Athera closed her eyes, gathering strength. "Then I will become the thread." Her hands glowed as she touched a shard, and the fractures began to glow with tentative light. Around her, echoes began to harmonize. The nexus pulsed, awakening. The nexus began to stabilize, but with it came the warden's warning. Balance demands sacrifice. Athera was shown a vision of a parallel self trapped within a collapsing timeline, screaming for release. "Can I save her?" she asked. "Only by choosing what to let go." The warden's gaze softened. "The weight of time is not infinite." With trembling resolve, Athera reached into the vision, touching the trapped self's hand. Light flared, and the echo was freed, dissipating into a brilliant cascade of stars. Tears ran down Athera's face, but her voice was steady. "We can't save them all, but we can save some." With each healed shard, the nexus grew lighter, until a great shadow loomed overhead. The Shard Eater, a colossal entity devouring timelines to feed its endless hunger. "It will consume everything," the warden said gravely. Athera felt the pulse of the nexus falter beneath her feet. "Then we fight," she declared. She summoned the light from her chronoglyph, weaving it into a spear of pure time energy. The Shard Eater roared, waves of static crashing against her shield. The battle was not only for survival, but for the very essence of memory. With every strike, she pushed back the darkness, illuminating new paths for lost stories to grow. Exhausted but unyielding, Ithera drove the Shard Eater back into the void, sealing the breach with a ring of light. The Nexus hummed with renewed vigor, resonating with hope and balance. The Warden approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You've changed fate's rhythm." Ithera looked to the horizon, where new shards began to pulse, not with chaos, but possibility. "Then we continue," she said. "For every lost timeline, there is a new story waiting." The Warden nodded. "And you will lead the way." Light cascaded over them as the Nexus transformed from fractured shards to a unified constellation of memories. As the Nexus settled, Ithera was gifted a new vision, a path leading beyond time itself. "Where does it go?" she asked. "To what has never been," the Warden answered. With the chronoglyph glowing bright, she stepped forward onto the path, feeling the weight and freedom of infinite possibility. Behind her the Nexus sang, a symphony of all she had saved and all still waiting. She turned briefly, whispering, "This is just the beginning." Her silhouette vanished into the shimmering horizon, ready to shape futures yet unwritten. The stars above twinkled, as if in approval, and a new tale began to unfold. Ithera arrived at the confluence, a vast chamber where every timeline converged in swirling ribbons of light and shadow. Above her, stars blinked out, replaced by the faces of those who had walked before, each etched in constellations. "This is the loom of ages," the Warden said softly. "Here, stories are woven into the fabric of time." Ithera reached out, threads bending toward her fingers. They whispered secrets of sacrifice, love, and resilience. "Will I be a thread or the weaver?" she asked. The loom pulsed, responding with infinite possibility. She smiled. "Then, I will be both." The threads entwined around her hands, binding past and future into a new tapestry. The loom pulsed with energy as Ithera moved her hands through the threads, each motion composing stories of hope and sorrow. Guardians from countless timelines gathered, their forms shimmering with memory. "You weave not just what is, but what could be," the Warden said. As she wove, visions of futures blossomed, cities rising, friendships forged, losses healed. But shadows lurked in the patterns, failures waiting to unfold. "Every choice ripples," she whispered, "and every ripple shapes the whole." Her voice grew stronger, becoming the melody of the loom itself. The chamber resonated, light cascading through the corridors of time. Suddenly, a tremor ran through the loom. A dark thread snapped free, twisting violently. "The fracture," the Warden warned. It spread quickly, unraveling woven stories, threatening to undo entire histories. Ithera's eyes narrowed. "Then I must mend it." She followed the thread deep into the loom's heart, where chaos reigned. Memories screamed as they unraveled. She reached into the void, pulling the broken pieces back together with her light. Her hands glowed fiercely as she rewove the thread, turning destruction into renewal. The fracture calmed, becoming a pattern of resilience. "Even darkness can teach light," she said, breathing steadily. The loom restored, Ithera emerged to find new threads forming, fresh stories waiting to be woven. The Guardians approached, offering shards of memory as gifts. "Each is a beginning," the Warden said. She accepted them humbly, feeling the weight and wonder of countless lives. "We are many," she whispered, "yet one." The loom's light expanded, connecting realms and epochs. Ithera knew this was more than a task. It was a covenant. To hold time's fragility with courage and grace. Her eyes shone with resolve. "Together, we will write the next chapter." The chamber filled with a harmonious chorus, the song of endless becoming. The path ahead shimmered, a bridge of light leading beyond the loom. Ithera stepped onto it, feeling both the burden and blessing of what she carried. "Will Others follow? She asked the warden. Some will, he replied, and others will create new paths. She smiled softly, looking toward the horizon where countless threads twined together like stars in a constellation. Then, let us be the spark, she said. With each step, her light grew brighter, weaving stories not yet told. Behind her, the loom hummed in eternal rhythm, an endless dance of memory, time, and hope. The bridge of light ended before an infinite mirror, reflecting all timelines in fractal patterns. Athera faced herself, every version, every choice, every possibility dancing within its surface. The warden spoke softly. To move beyond time, you must become the story itself. She stepped forward, the mirror rippling and pulling her in. Inside, she became one with all her echoes, her joys and regrets merging into pure light. I am no longer fragmented, she whispered. I am whole. The mirror dissolved, revealing a new dawn, stretching across the cosmos. Athera, transformed, smiled into the rising stars, ready to guide new tales beyond time. As the new dawn rose, Athera's light spread across realms. Her story became a constellation, a beacon for those lost in time's currents. Faraway worlds saw her glow and felt hope rekindled. Guardians whispered her name in reverence. Children dreamed of a bridge that could carry them to new beginnings. She is the eternal thread, the warden said, watching from afar. Athera's voice echoed through the void. Remember, stories never end. They evolve. The stars shimmered, weaving new paths for others to follow. The tale was hers no longer, but a gift to all who dared remember. Generations later, storytellers gathered beneath Athera's constellation, weaving her legacy into new tales. They spoke of the girl who walked through time, who faced shadows and healed broken stories. Their voices rose in song, each note a thread in the tapestry of memory. The loom pulsed softly in the heavens, responding to their song. Her journey is ours, they said. Our courage her light. And so the cycle continued, endless, evolving, luminous. The past and future entwined, held forever in the dance of stories beyond time. In a quiet corner of the cosmos, a child discovered a small shard glowing with Athera's light. With wide eyes, the child held it close. The shard pulsed, whispering secrets of courage and choice. The child smiled and whispered, I will begin. Somewhere far beyond time, the warden watched, a knowing smile on his lips. The journey was never about one alone. It was about the many, each ready to step forward, ready to become the next story, the next thread woven into the infinite. And so, the tapestry of time stretched beyond horizons, threaded by countless hands and hearts. The loom never rested. It awaited the next story, the next dream, the next spark. Athera's voice lingered in the silence between stars. Remember always, every end is a beginning, and every story lives forever beyond time. The cosmos pulsed in response, a heartbeat of infinite tales, forever weaving, forever becoming.